And it's my pleasure to meet you once again in the next webinar where we're going to be discussing about doing business in Dubai Freezone by an Indian national. So just to give you a gist of what we have covered in the previous weeks, 2 weeks back we had a webinar on doing business in UAE. There we discussed primarily about opening up a company in the mainland in UAE where you can do business without going to a free zone in the main zone itself. Today, we are going to look into the other options which is available to an Indian for doing business in a free zone, look into its advantages, and what are the main reasons an Indian would choose a free zone over a mainland company. So presentation schema today is we're going to start about the location, understand what a free zone is, know a little bit about the benefits and limitation. There are multiple types of free zones available within the UAE. Our focus today will be to Dubai, and there are more than 20 free zones in Dubai. We'll look at some of the examples there. The registration procedure, last but not the least, the timelines and cost of incorporation of a free zone entity in Dubai. So let's start with the location. So contrasting to the mainland incorporation of a company, where if a company has to be an LLC in the mainland, it has to have an office space in the mainland, number one. Number two, to give you a recap, 51% of the shares will be held by a UAE national as a nominee, and the balance 49% will be held by the foreigner. And you can do business in the UAE, you can transact between the different states. We have 7 states in UAE. You can sell goods, purchase goods within UAE. There is no custom effect because you're in the mainland company. In contrary, a free zone or a free land is considered outside the geographical territory of the UAE. Even though there is a free zone in Dubai, you will be very much having a building close to an LLC based company. But if that zone is categorized as free zones, you will be considered as outside UAE. So predominantly benefited for imports and export transaction. And there are preferential tax rates and custom rates for companies incorporated in the free zone. So as we go on in the slides, we'll look more into the advantages and limitations. So what is a free zone? It's, as we discussed, territorially different from Dubai mainland, and it helps in attracting foreign direct investment, great trade investments, opportunities for UAE, and improves existing infrastructure as well. So when an area or a zone is considered as a free zone, there are multiple infrastructural advantages which that zone gives to its investors to attract investments and FDI. So you have logistic conveniences, you have multiple office areas available from starting from 10 square meters ranging up to 400 square meters of space. Of course, rents will vary depending on the size of the office you want to take. There's also freehold purchase that you can make in a free zone and sublease it, rent it out. So there are multiple opportunities within the free zone itself. Now, looking at the primary advantages, why somebody wants to choose a free zone over an LLC is the first one is on 100% expat ownership. So whenever an Indian wants to put money into a new country, into a new business, ideally, he would prefer to hold 100% of the shares of the company because he's a 100% sole investor. In the mainland company, to protect the nature and legislative requirements of the country, if you want to start a company in the mainland, the government requires that 51% of the shares on document is held by UAE national, so that if there is any deviances from the legislative requirements, at least the government can hold that 51% shareholder who is a local UAE resident, national, held responsible. That's why a foreigner will only be eligible for 49% of the shares. However, in a free zone company, 100% of the shares could be held by the expat owner. So that is a primary lucrative factor which tries to pull investors into free zones. Now, when we say free zones, there's not one free zone. There are multiple free zones depending on the nature of industry you want to set up. I'll go through the next few slides, which will be more clear. There is no currency restrictions. When it's a free zone company, you can have bank accounts with multiple currencies for trade. Only thing is the company will have to establish to the bank that why they are opening a specific currency account. So for example, if you want a British pound account, it's not a general category account where an LLC company will not be directly eligible for, a mainland company will not be directly eligible for a GBP, that is a British pound account. But if you're a free zone company, if you can establish that you have business relationship with the UK and you have some customers or supplies available there, you can hold a British pound account as well. So currency restrictions are not there. 100% repatriation of capitals and profits with no personal or capital gain tax. So that's another major advantages which we have. The same is applicable in a mainland company as well. However, it's much more easier because you're a single owner. There is no resolutions to be made. and to be signed by the other local partner, because you're the 100% owner. So repatriation can become very, very easy when it is a free zone company in comparison to a mainland LLC company. Other advantages include world-class infrastructure, which we have discussed earlier as well. So when you go to a particular free zone, you have all facilities under one roof. You want leasing of space, you have a post office, you have logistics advantages, high-speed internet. So you name it, you have it. So you don't need to go for application for each and every activity if you're, unlike you're in the mainland. So let's say I'm having a company in the mainland LLC. So I'll have to first go to the Etisalat or the telecommunication department to apply for the Wi-Fi. Then I'll have to go for DEWA, which is the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority, and apply for the electricity and water connection. Then we'll have to go for an Ijari, which is a tenancy contract registration. So we'll have to visit multiple departments and have all these documentation ready for incorporation of a company in the mainland, which we discussed 2 weeks back. However, in the free zone, it's all under one roof. The investor goes into the free zone office and just lists down the requirements that he have. He needs a Wi-Fi connection, he needs electricity connection. He also needs a post box where all his mail and courier will have to be posted to, and all that can be done under one roof. Even to the tune of applying for labor quota, labor visa, which we seen 2 weeks back on the mainland company, where an investor will have to visit the MOL, Ministry of Labor, and have all these procedures done by himself. But under the free zone company, all these can be done in one office, in one sitting over the counter. So that is the advantages that you have under free zones. But when I say free zones, again, there are multiple free zones. Each free zones, the criteria, the requirements, and the timeline slightly differ. However, majority of them have this across the counter transaction. So you have abundant resources, less renewal charges. Setup cost is slightly expensive, but yearly renewals becomes much more easier and cheaper. Because in a mainland company, you will have a local sponsor, which is who's holding 51% share, and you will have to give him a honorarium for agreeing to be a 51 shareholder in a company. However, in a free zone, since you're 100% shareholder, you just need to pay the renewal fees directly to the free zone authorities. Excellent administration business services. You have automated mails from the free zones. They tell you when they're going to have a downtime, when they're going to have server uploads, if at all there's any holidays, which is going to come up, public holidays, they will make an intimation to your server or portal to all your customers and suppliers. So things become much more easier when you are having a company in the free zone. That's why they call it as a headache-free company incorporation, where everything is taken care by one roof. But not to forget, if you're having multiple services under one roof, obviously you end up paying a premium for the service, but it's definitely worth it for the advantage that you get from a free zone company. So as we were discussing earlier about the types of free zones in Dubai, so there are 7 Emirates. We spoke about Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, Al Quwain, Ras Al Khaimah, Fujairah. So in all these Emirates, there are free zones, right? But we are only focusing on Dubai. There are more than 20 free zones in Dubai. You have Dubai Internet City. So this is a small city where mainly the internet service providers like Microsoft, Facebook, Google, all of them have the office in the DIC. The next free zone, you have Dubai Academic City. If I were to name few universities from India who set up their universities in Dubai, they have set it up in the Dubai Academic City. So it's only eligible for educational based industry to come and set up their premises and campus in the academic city. So it's about a 5 square kilometer of area where multiple universities are there from all over the world. So Amity University from India, Manipal University, BITS Pilani Dubai, they're all stationed in Dubai Academic City. Dubai Airport Free Zone. Alongside the airport, there is a free zone, which is also a zone, an area allocated for companies to come and incorporate for those who have regular transfers from couriers from Dubai to overseas and import and vice versa. So if I were to name few fast-moving consumer good companies, Himalaya and Godrej, they have their companies incorporated in the Dubai Airport Free Zone. We call it as DAFZA as short form. There's Biotechnology Park, Dubai Car and Automotive City Free Zone for import and export of cars. Dubai Design District is the latest free zone which is added to Dubai, where people who have creative industry, where they are setting up designs and exporting designs, where they don't want to incur much charges for exports and import of designs that they make, they end up setting up their company in Dubai Design District. Gold and Diamond Park, Healthcare City, Industrial City, Academic City, International Financial Center. This is what we call as DIFC. Any foreign banks or financial institution who wants to have their branch office in Dubai, they set it up in Dubai International Financial Center. To name others, DMCC is another famous free zone. And out of all this in Dubai, the most famous free zone is the Jebel Ali Free Zone. Now, why is it very famous? First of all, the biggest port in UAE is the Jebel Ali port. So this free zone is located close to the Jebel Ali port. So in free zone companies, what generally happens is you can import goods into the free zone without having to pay any custom duty, and you can do any modification to the good packing, repacking, or any other assemblies that you want to do in Dubai, where it becomes made in UAE as product, and then it can be re-exported from the free zone to other countries without having to pay any taxes or duties. So this is why free zone becomes lucrative. Let's say I have a company in the mainland and I import some goods from India to the mainland LLC company. I will have to end up paying 5% custom duty on top of my purchase price to import the goods and bring it outside the port. However, if you're having a company in the free zone, when you import goods from outside, you don't need to pay that custom duty. So that becomes the difference when you want to have a company in the free zone and outside free zone. Second, when you have a company in the mainland, you can provide services to all other states in the UAE. A company in Dubai mainland can provide consulting services, can supply goods and services to a company in Abu Dhabi, and so on and so forth, very easily. No paperwork to be made, and it is just across the table. You make an invoice and you make a packing list, delivery note, and that's it. Your goods are sold. However, if you have a company in the free zone, for example, in the Jebel Ali free zone, and you would want to sell some product to a company in the mainland in Dubai, whatever be the reasons, even though you're going to be primarily an importer and exporter, you have a customer query and you want a product to be sold outside the free zone to a customer who's in the mainland. The paperwork is cumbersome. You'll have to get an approval from the free zone, which is the gate pass, and a gate pass will have to be made, which has a separate charges, and then a 5% custom duty will have to be levied on the customer, and he'll have to pay that 5% custom duty and then bring the goods out of the free zone. So for the customer who's in the mainland, getting goods out from free zone is more like an import for him. So all the documentation for import will have to be taken care while you're importing goods from the free zone as well. So out of all this, Jebel Ali is the most common and the most popular free zone, and it's extremely large in size, and you can have an industry space, workstation, office. You have multiple ranges that you can get it from there. So now looking at the registration procedures, first type, you determine the type of legal entity, what business you want to do. Then you choose a trade name, which we have again discussed in the previous lectures or previous seminars. It's going to be very similar to that. Then you apply for the business license, where you will have an initial approval to be done. And then you apply for an official space. It could be a virtual office or a physical office or a desk space or an industry. It could be depending on what your needs are. And finally, all approvals are received. Your registration of your business is done. And across the table, you get the license, MOA, AOA, and other important corporate documents. With this, you approach any bank and then your bank account will be open. So let's get into each of these procedures and spend some time and understand them in detail. So first, determining the legal entity type. There are two types of free zone, which is again very, very common. One is free zone limited liability company, which we call it as FZ LLC. The second type is free zone establishment. Nowadays, it's become very common for a single shareholder to establish his own company to demonstrate his skill set and do his own business. So that becomes a free zone establishment. So an individual to start his own company, he can do that. Or second type is when you want to have a branch of a foreign company, or a foreign company wants to be an investor in the form of a corporate shareholder, or there would want to be a minimum of 2 shareholders starting up a company in free zone. That becomes a free zone LLC, FZ LLC. So when there's 1%, it's FZE, free zone establishment. When there's more than 1%, that's 2 shareholder, it could be individuals or corporate, it becomes FZ LLC. So depending on what is the corporate structure, you can form one of the 2 companies. Their registration charges differ. It's slightly higher if it's a FZ LLC in each of the free zones. Trade name, again, you must not violate any public morals. The name should have not been previously used. It should be compatible with the required type of legal activity that you're doing. Should not contain any names of religion, government bodies, nor logos of any of the external bodies. It should not replicate any of the brands which is already existing. So all these are taken care by the portal. So you go look out for a name in the portal, and if it's available, then you register it by paying 1,000 dirhams as a registration fees, and that name will be held for 2 months, and it doesn't take more than 24 hours to have a name registration done in the portal. Name is selected, then you apply for the business license. There are 4 general categories of licenses that can be issued by the free zone. One is trading, where you have a specific activity that you're going to trade. So let's say car spare parts. So you have a license for trading in car spare parts alone. So that becomes an independent trading license, very easy to form. Second type is general trading license, where you say, I would like to trade in 10 different types of commodity, but all these 10 different types of commodity comes under food products. So under food products, I will have 10 different, so it becomes a general trading license. The KYC and the compliance for general trading license over the last few years have increased because some companies incorporate a general trading license and they try to do trading activities of products which are not listed in their trade license. So it's more cumbersome. It takes a little bit of time, but general trading is a umbrella license which can allow you to trade in multiple products. Third is a professional license. Let's say you want to start a consulting firm, management advisory firm, an audit firm, an accounting firm, or even an educational company where you want to provide some sort of e-learning courses or even provide a proper university degree, then you will have to apply for a professional license. And last but not the least is industrial license. Even though we discussed in 2 weeks back that for having an industry, for having a manufacturing setup, the mainland is more lucrative because it's going to be much cheaper and you have a wide range of services to choose from. However, an industrial license can also be obtained in a free zone, slightly expensive because your rents are on the higher side, electricity charges on the higher side, but it gives you the ease of operation. You're a own owner and everything, all your services can be rendered under one roof. So once the individual is sure about the type and nature of the industry that he wants to choose, then they go on for choosing an office space. Now, choosing an office space, different free zones gives different types of services in terms of location of a business. Certain free zones allow you to operate under a virtual office, whereby you will have a common shared desk. So whenever you would like to use, the zone itself will have a common area with computers and internet and telephone facilities where you can choose your hourly slots per day and go and use that office space. On a contrary, today, multiple other free zones stopped giving the flexible or let's say flexi desk offices, and they opt for a permanent office, because tomorrow if you want a banker to come and interact with you, or if you want the government body to come and have a look at your office premises to understand what business you're doing, it's important to have a permanent establishment or a permanent office. So this permanent office ranges between 15 square meter to 42 square meter. Conference room facilities and internet facilities are also available, and different packages are available where you have general office packages, smart desk office packages, executive office packages. Some free zones also give you the service of a receptionist. So there'll be a common receptionist for maybe 40 companies, and anyone who calls your number, it goes to the main desk of the reception and they can answer the call for you, and then they can always transfer the call to your mobile. So free zones have all these multiple services in terms of choosing your location space, whichever is going to be more convenient for the business to operate. So after you've got the name of the company, the location, the type of business activity, the final step is to get approvals and to register the business. So let's look into how do we do that. So getting approvals is you need to submit all the documents and first get an initial approval. So initial approval is primarily for the shareholder himself. Now the shareholder will submit his KYC in the form of his passport copy, his passport size photo, his bank statement, any reference letter from the banks and from the country from which he's coming, and it goes for an initial approval whereby the immigration department and the free zone department checks if there is any blacklist on that particular shareholder, or if there is any other dues he'll have to be liable for from the previous companies that he owns. So once all these are cleared, the initial approval is given. Once the initial approval is given, step number 2, he goes for registration process where it's across the table. The shareholder will have to come in person to the free zone and then sign the corporate documents in front of the free zone authority. MOA and AOA is signed there. And the third step, after paying the required fees, the license is issued across the table itself. So here we see completed application form, a business plan, NOC from the current sponsor. Let us assume an individual who would want to start his business is already having a visa from another company. So in this case, the free zone says, if you already have a visa from somebody else, get a NOC from that sponsor. That is a no objection certificate. So it's very important to understand that who's the sponsor of a particular visa. And based on the sponsorship, the departments in government act accordingly. So if you are having your own company and you have your own visa from that company, it's fine. But if you have a visa from any other sponsors, then an NOC will be required. A letter of intent, registry identification code, which is an RIC code, is generated, and then the initial approval is given. After that, completion of the application for registration, the board resolution is prepared and we appoint the managing director. in many cases, the shareholder himself can be the managing director of the company. But if a company wants a shareholder is separate and they would want to have somebody else as the managing director, they can of course appoint them, and there will be a pre-approval or a initial approval for that managing director as well. In case a shareholder does not want to visit UAE or he is not able to visit UAE, he can always give a power of attorney to the managing director. The power of attorney has to be legalized in India or the country is coming from, and it also has to be legalized in UAE in the Chamber of Commerce as well as the UAE Embassy in India. And then along with the passport size photo, specimen signature, the MO and AO is prepared and the share capital information is provided. So the company can have share capital based on its requirement, and that has to be registered. Once the license is issued, after all these related approvals are completed and the business is registered at the portal, once the license is issued, using the license, the shareholder can go ahead and apply for his investor visa, similar to the procedure that we discussed in the previous week. So along with the license copy, AOA, MOA documents, he submits for his visa application. After the payment of the requisite fees, a medical checkup will be done, and then a biometric will take care of the fingerprints and the eye retina scanning. And once that is completed, they go to the next step of stamping the visa on the passport, and the visa is issued for generally for a period of 3 years. The timeline, again, as we discussed, depends on how compliant and how the documentations are readily available. If all the documentation from the shareholder is readily available, it takes close to about 1 week to 10 days, but they can always ask for additional information which the free zone deems fit. So generally it takes about 1 to 3 weeks time. And if a virtual office is being set up where you don't really have a physical office, in terms of multiple free zones, the cost varies close to between $5,000 to $10,000, which is about 14,500 dirhams to 30,000 dirhams, being the lowest and medium scale, we could say. And if you would like to have an official office set up, a permanent establishment, a space for your own company in the free zone, it costs somewhere between 35,000 to 80,000 dirhams within the free zone itself. Again, you want to go for industry, you would like to have a big scale industrial setup, an industrial park, then the prices go up as well. And if you want to have an electricity set up for your machineries to run, you'll have to also pay a deposit for getting the requisite number of kilowatts as well. Thank you so much, and credits and acknowledgement to Vishwanath for the beautiful presentation. And I'm open for questions, and I'll be opening up the survey page. You can fill up the survey, and I'm available in the chat box. If you'd like to have any questions, feel free to write to us. Thank you so much once again for listening to my presentation this week. Looking forward with another interesting topic next week. Thank you.